There's only 2 more weeks to go in the 2022 NFL season, and the Tennessee Titans know the margin for error is slim if they want to get back to the postseason. Here in Week 17, the Titans have their final regular season home game of the season, hosting the Dallas Cowboys, who, like the Titans, have a record of 9-6, but unlike the Titans, are not only projected to make the playoffs, but currently find themselves as the number 2 seed in the NFC. It's crazy how different these conferences are, where 9-6 is the 2 seed in the NFC, and in our conference, it's a game back of a playoff spot entirely. Last episode, we played the Texans. We handled them 20-3. It was a very sloppy game, mainly because the weather was horrible, but we sacked Davis Mills 8 times. The defense was great, and the offense did enough to win the game. Before we get into today's game, we do have a prospect profile in which we'll be covering the defensive backs in this year's draft class. This season, the Titans have the 17th ranked pass defense in the NFL, but we do lead the league in interceptions by a pretty healthy margin, largely because of our cornerback group. We've got a young group of guys here with Fulton, Fairley, Molden, and McCreary, all of whom are super young. They're all on their rookie contracts, and they've all shown very promising flashes this year of becoming good players. However, I still think there's a good chance we're going to draft a corner this year anyway, because this year's cornerback class is so loaded. I don't think there's a single position group in this draft class that is as strong as corner. You've got 4 or 5 bona fide first-rounders and plenty of depth as well across the board, even going into day 3. We start with Marcus Moore out of Alabama, who is currently the 2nd projected prospect in the entire draft class, and he is everything you look for in a number 1 corner. He's tall, he's big, he's around 6'2", 185. He's got pretty good athleticism, pretty good ball skills, and I mean, you put him on an island, he will shut down the opposing number 1 receiver, lock down in coverage. I think he's right up there in terms of being such a good defensive back prospect in the last decade, in the conversation of guys like Jalen Ramsey and Sauce Gardner. I don't think Moore will end up being the 2nd overall pick. I think he's going to go a little bit lower just because of positional value, but he is still a fantastic player, although there are a couple corners not too far behind him, including Seattle Jackson out of Florida State. He's a smart, tough, very talented football player, and when you put him in man-to-man coverage, he is a machine. Jackson has enjoyed a breakout season for the Seminoles in which he has gotten 8 interceptions, which is amongst the top total in college football. He's another big guy, 6'1", 200 pounds, and you look at another kid who's got good athleticism. He's a very smart player, and he's certainly someone who you can trust on the perimeter against your number 1 receiver. Along with them, you've got Jalen Matthews II out of Purdue. He's another big guy, 6'2", 175. These top 3 corners all have size and athleticism in common with each other, and that's why all 3 of them are probably going to be top 15 picks when it's all said and done. Matthews has been a high-level contributor for the Boilermakers since his true freshman season. He's gotten at least 3 interceptions in all 4 seasons of his college career, 19 in total. Along with his ball skills, though, he is also very fundamentally sound in coverage. And even though he's CB3 this year, I think most seasons, you could argue he'd be cornerback number 1. As we go down the board, looking at the fringe first-rounders, again, plenty of other talented players here, including Wyatt Darby from Texas. It's been a very disappointing season for the Longhorns, who had major expectations joining the SEC, and the team as a whole has not lived up to that hype. But it certainly has not been at the fault of Wyatt Darby, who has been fantastic this season for the Longhorns. He's another guy who's got the prototypical build you look for in a corner. 6'3", 183 pounds. He's fast, he's athletic. He's projected a little bit lower than the top 3 guys just because he's a little bit more raw, and I think he's not quite as polished of a product. He never really fully became a starter before this season, although apparently Madden thinks he won the Heisman Trophy, which, as we know, isn't true. But still, a very good player. There's a ton of upside with his size, his length, and his athleticism. So I think if you get him in the right situation, he's going to be very, very good. Cardell Simpson from South Alabama is a very intriguing player. He doesn't quite have the build you look for, a little bit under 6 foot. He's not necessarily a freak athlete, but production is off the charts. He had 13 interceptions as a junior. Yes, 13, and he's added 6 more this season as a senior. He's the best player on a great South Alabama team who is ranked number 1 in the country and will probably make the college football playoff, which I know sounds crazy, largely because they have one of the best defenses in the country, largely because they have such a great corner. And you've got a number 1 corner on a Group 5 team like this, and they can really be good. Look at Sauce Gardner at Cincinnati. It's kind of similar, just Sauce was a little bit better of a prospect. Brad Bellaford out of Arkansas is one of my favorite players in the draft class. You guys know that meme where it shows a player, like a picture of someone's lunge, and there's a dog in it, showing that that person has a dog in them? Well, I don't know if there's anybody in this draft class that embodies having that dog in them when they play, more so than Brad Bellaford, who's faced off against some of the best receivers in the SEC this year and has shut them down. Had great performances against teams like Alabama, Auburn, Oklahoma. I mean, this is a superbly talented young man and somebody who's certainly earned an opportunity to be a first or second round pick. A.J. Brown out of Notre Dame has had a great season this year for the Irish. He's coming off a phenomenal game against USC in which he picked off 2 passes. And although Titans fans may cringe a little bit when they see the name, A.J. Brown, but this kid is a really, really good player. He has 8 interceptions this year, 4 last year as a junior. He's not as consistent in coverage as some of these other guys projected ahead of him. He's got great ball skills, a little bit of a gambler. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. He's kind of like a more watered-down version of like a Trayvon Diggs or a Marcus Peters. As we look at some of the day 2 guys, Marcus Ransom, Blue Jam, Scott Hendricks, all very talented players, I think of that group, Anthony Ryder-Strobel out of Florida might be the most interesting. I think Ryder Strobel's had an opportunity to cement himself as a first-round pick these past couple of seasons, but unfortunately he hasn't been able to, and it's not really his fault. He's been super banged up the last 2 years, so obviously there is some medical concern with him. You hope he'll be able to consistently stay healthy because he's been very injury-prone at his time with the Florida Gators, but when he's been healthy, he's looked like a first-round pick, so it's a little bit of a gamble, but a team like the Titans has never been afraid to take risks in the draft, so maybe he's going to be a guy they like. Now moving on to this next tier of 3rd to 4th rounders, you've got Ethan Pepperoni, Paulie Coleman, Napoleon Dobbs. I'm especially intrigued by Dobbs. I think he's going to be a great slot corner in the NFL. Very smart, very aware player. Look at that play as he kicks the ball up and grabs the interception. He doesn't have the particular size you look for in a perimeter corner, 5'10", 188. I don't think he has the physicality to handle true number 1 or number 2 receivers in the NFL. Like I think if you match him up with a guy like T. Higgins or Michael Pittman, someone who's just bigger and stronger, Dobbs is really going to struggle. But put him in the slot. He's a smart, crafty defensive player, and I think he's going to be a good late day 2 pick. As we move on to day 3, again, plenty more very talented players. Ellis Ermarn out of Georgia Tech especially I really like. Last week against Georgia, he had an awesome pick 6 against quarterback Clyde Williamson, who, as we know, is going to be the first quarterback off the board this year, most likely. Williamson's only thrown 2 picks all season, and, well, that was one of them. Ermarn has had a phenomenal season for the Yellow Jackets. He's been the best player on their defense. He has 9 interceptions this season. You look at somebody who's quick, he can cover, he's got pretty good size, somebody who has the production this season. He's done really well against number 1 receivers in the ACC. Ozzie Duvernay from Ohio State's another intriguing player. He's the number 2 corner for Ohio State, so you can be a little bit nitpicky and point out that, yeah, he isn't covering number 1s on a week-to-week basis, but I still think he is a really, really good player. Somebody who has flashed good ball skills at times. He had 5 interceptions as a sophomore, only 3 of the last 2 seasons. But you look at somebody who's really good in man coverage, I think he should look to bulk up a little bit, get some more play strength, but he knows how to find the football. Again, he's not the best corner on his team. You have Jameer Jefferson Jr., who I think is the best cornerback in college football. If Jefferson declares this year, I think he'll be the top corner off the board, even ahead of Marcus Moore, which we'll talk about the declaring players later on in the season. And then as we move down the board even further, look towards the 6th, 7th round, I think Harrison Harrington out of Memphis could be a real gem. Another guy who doesn't really have the size and physicality you look for on the outside, but he has done a good job on the outside this year for the Memphis Tigers, and he's somebody who I think at worst could be a very good slot corner in the NFL when it's all said and done. He's not the quickest, he's not the shiftiest of players, but he does have good ball skills. He has 6 interceptions this season, which is towards the top in the American Athletic Conference. He's had a great season this year for the Tigers and has certainly earned an opportunity to be drafted into the NFL. So now let's go to the safety position, and it's sort of a weird dynamic with this draft class because, as I said, at corner it's loaded. Safety, not so much. I think we're pretty good at safety. Kevin Byard's been fine this year. He had a great game last week against the Texans. We have Amani Hooker as well, who's pretty talented. Hooker is on the final year of his contract. He wants $24 million over 4 seasons, which feels like a lot. I'm not sure if I'm willing to pay him that, so maybe we will look for a safety in this year's draft class. I think of all the position groups in this class, I think safety is actually the weakest. However, there are some intriguing players, including Kenyon Mills out of Wake Forest. I think Mills is a little bit raw. He's certainly not a polished prospect, and the on-field production doesn't really warrant a first-round pick. But you look at the athletic measurables. He's about 6'3", 220 pounds. He's huge. He's fast. He's super rangy. I think he's going to be a better pro player than college player, which is why he's going to be an early draft selection. I think it's more likely he ends up in the early second round rather than the late first round, but I could really see a team falling in love with his physical traits. Kalen Ingram from Auburn's another very talented player. Maybe he doesn't have the athletic upside that, say, Mills has from Wake Forest, but I think Kalen Ingram's a more polished player. He had 7 interceptions a couple seasons ago, only 1 this year, largely because quarterbacks know not to throw the ball his way. He is a true center fielder for your defense, somebody who can cover a lot of ground in the back end, and I think he's going to be a more polished and ready-to-go player day one than Kenyon Mills, even if he doesn't have the athletic ceiling that a guy like Kenyon Mills has. So if you prefer a high floor safety, I think Ingram could be your guy. As we move towards day 2, a couple guys I like here, including Alex Weldy out of Oregon. He's a tiny player, 5'9", 170. Maybe he's more suited to be a slot corner. He has played some snaps in the nickel at corner this year for the Ducks, so he does have the position flexibility that you like. I do think he plays bigger than his size. He's a tough football player, pretty athletic, very good in zone coverage. Another guy who you can leave out there as your center fielder, and he can take over a lot of space. He hasn't been a consistent starter with the Ducks, only 3 career interceptions. And again, the size is a little bit concerning, but he's a hardworking, high-character, team captain kid, and he's the type of guy you want in your locker room. As we go more towards day 3, there are a couple names to watch out for here, including Giddy Johnson out of Arkansas. 6'4", 230. He is built like a linebacker. He's a very versatile player. You can put him in sub-packages at linebacker. You can put him at strong safety, free safety. I think his positional flexibility is really, really impressive. He's pretty agile, super quick player. The problem with him is he's a little bit of a tweener. I don't think he has a set position. He isn't as consistent in zone coverage as some of those other top safeties to really be a true free safety, center fielder type guy. But I think his versatility is really going to intrigue teams with his size and athleticism. Going down the board, there are some other interesting players. Tate Miller, Samson June, Demetrius DeMarcus. I think of this group, Samson June is especially a name to watch at the University of Oklahoma. He's 6 foot, around 190 pounds, but he's another guy who plays bigger than his size suggests. You can put him at 3, you can put him at strong, you can put him in the slot. He's gotten some snaps at sub-linebacker this season. Just a guy who's done a little bit of everything this year with Oklahoma. I think he's a little bit more consistent in coverage compared to a guy like Giddy Johnson, but he doesn't quite have the athletic upside that a guy like Giddy Johnson has. But I am confident Samson June is going to outperform his 4th or 5th round projection wherever they currently have him. And then going down the board even further, some other interesting names. Brent Bellaford out of Arkansas. That's the twin of the corner we just talked about, Brad Bellaford. An undrafted free agent to watch here is Aurelio Johnson out of NC State. If you've been keeping up with the NCAA Next Up series here on the channel, you know this is the guy who caught the game-winning interception against Clemson in probably the wackiest ending of the entire season. Before that game, he wasn't really on a lot of people's draft radars. He's only a 73 overall in the game. But ever since that play, he's actually been really good this year for NC State. And his clutch ability on that interception really gave his name some wavelength. And ever since then, he's been quite impressive. So he could be a real gem as an undrafted free agent. As we move over to strong safety now, I think Gabe Feldstad out of Oklahoma is probably the best safety prospect in this year's draft. And the only safety who I would say I'm confident about will be going in the first round. He has good size at 6 foot, 200 pounds, and the best part about his game is he can just do just about anything. I mean, you can put him out in coverage, whether it's zone or man. He can cover space, and he can cover people. You can line him up with a tight end who's 3 inches taller and 30 pounds heavier, and Feldstad will still hang with him stride for stride. He can make plays in the run. He's got good positional versatility, whether it's at nickel corner or as a sub linebacker. He's good in run support. He's good in coverage. I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL. Lamont Morgan out of Auburn is also an interesting player. We talked about his teammate, Kalen Ingram, the other Auburn safety. So the Tigers could have two guys who end up in the first round. Morgan is 6'1", 205 pounds. He's more of your hard-nosed, tough, run and tumble safety, whereas Kalen Ingram's more of your traditional cover guy. I think Morgan's going to be a good player in the NFL. He's tough, he's gritty, he's a team captain, high character young man for the Tigers. He doesn't have elite athleticism, but this is a guy who can hang with tight ends, who can go off of blocks and make plays in the run game. So I am quite intrigued by him. Again, he's another guy who I think is probably going to be more of the second round pick, but a guy I do like. In terms of depth, there are a couple interesting guys. Stanley Izzuto, Chris Davis, some solid players, but as I said, safety is probably the weakest position in this year's draft class. So with that, we have now done prospect profiles for every position in the entire draft class. So you'd think this is it, but not exactly. These are not the only players who will be in this year's draft class. These are all of the seniors who are in the draft class. However, we still have to see which juniors and sophomores are going to declare for the draft. I didn't put any juniors or sophomores in because I figured it'd be too hard to predict which players are going to declare. So I'm going to see which players declare in the NCAA Next Up series. They'll be added to the draft class, and all of the underclassmen will have their own prospect profile at the end of this season. So let's now transition back to the current team, the Tennessee Titans, who of course are not projected to make the playoffs as of now. But all hope is not lost. We still have a shot. We are currently 9-6, which is a game back of first place in the AFC South. It's also a game back for the number 7 overall seed as a wild card team. So we still have some ground we have to make up. But it's certainly not an impossible road, especially if we win these next 2 games. We have very little margin for error. We have to be pretty much perfect. And of course, you've got the 9-6 Cowboys, who are the number 2 seed in the NFC. With a win, they can clinch the NFC East. So, you know, they're going to be going for this game as hard as we are. They've got a great group of guys here, including Dak Prescott, who's had a very good season throwing the football. They've got a nice two-headed monster in the backfield featuring Ezekiel Elliott, who's having probably the best season of his career, which says something because he's gotten worse every single season he's played. They've got some good weapons here, headlined by CeeDee Lamb. No Michael Gallup, though, so they're going to need Washington and Tolbert to really step up. They've got a great offensive line, but the backbone of this team is really the defense, particularly the pass rush. DeMarcus Lawrence has a chance to make history. He has 22 sacks this season. So if he gets at least 1 sack today, he will break the all-time record for most sacks in a season. He has more sacks than 5 individual teams do, which is very impressive, and is currently tied with a number of guys for the most sacks in a season in NFL history. So we'll see how he does, along with Micah Parsons on the other side. We've got Trayvon Diggs at corner. They traded for Marcus Davenport at the deadline from New Orleans. This is a good football team, and obviously it's a primetime game, our final primetime game of the year, our final regular season home game of the season, and unless we win the division, probably our final home game overall. So we want to send the fans off on a high note here in Week 17. We'll see which one of these teams can get to double-digit wins. Can it be the Cowboys looking to clinch the NFC East, or the Tennessee Titans, who are grasping for straws in the AFC playoff race as we look at the playoff picture going into Week 17. Dallas opens up with the football. 1st and 10 for the 33. Prescott drops back to throw for the first time today. He's picked off. Kevin Byard with the interception. One man to beat. It's Zeke. He does not beat him, but he gets it all the way to the 12-yard line. A huge turnover there for the Tennessee defense. Kevin Byard with his 4th interception of the season. He only had 1 going into Week 16, but he had 2 last week and adds another one here. A couple plays later, the Titans get on the board with a touchdown. It's O.J. Howard with the score, doing backflips in the end zone. Good pass by the rookie quarterback, Malik Willis, and the Titans lead 7-0. Pretty damn good start. I know it's early, but not too better of a start you could have asked for. Dallas with the ball. Prescott heaves it up. That should have been caught. That could have been a touchdown from Jalen Tolbert, but he was not able to hold on. A major break for Tennessee. 3rd and 9, Prescott goes short, hauled in by CeeDee Lamb, the 3rd-year pro out at the University of Oklahoma, who brings it to the 40. Caleb Farley's going to have a tough duel being matched up with CeeDee Lamb. I'm very curious to see how that individual matchup works out. 1st and 10, Prescott through the end zone. It's caught for a touchdown. Simi Fehoko with the score. He's another receiver getting increased snaps with no Michael Gallup in the lineup. Gallup suffered a compound foot fracture back in Week 12 against the Giants, and he has been out ever since. So the game is tied at 7. The Titans have the ball back, 3rd and 9. Willis looks to throw it up the middle, and it's hauled in by Odell Beckham Jr. to the 40. Beckham has continued to do a good job of acclimating himself to the team since rejoining after his ACL tear last year in the Super Bowl with the Rams. 1st and 10 from the 40. Willis goes up the middle, back for Beckham, who fumbles the ball. That one falls clean out, and it's recovered by the Cowboys. It's Darqueze Dennard, the former first-round corner, who recovers it. Let's look at this play again, make sure it was actually a fumble, and it's unfortunate because that could have turned into a big gain. And yeah, that ball was clean out. Anthony Barr and Leighton Vander Esch both there to make the play. So Dallas gets the ball back off the turnover as it's a 3rd and 8 with 4 minutes left in the quarter. Prescott goes back to CeeDee Lamb. He gets the first to the 35-yard line. Dallas appears to be moving it pretty nicely on this drive as it's now 2nd and 11. Play action fake. Here's Prescott. Rolls out to the right for the end zone, and it is caught. That's a jump ball situation won by Jalen Tolbert. But the problem is Amani Hooker didn't jump. Do you want that extension, buddy? I mean, he didn't even try to jump. I don't get it there. When you're in a 50-50 ball, jump ball situation, you got to actually jump. And only one person there actually did it. 2nd and goal. Prescott finds a wide open Dalton Schultz for the touchdown. And so Dallas responds off the turnover. They take a 14-7 lead with about 2 minutes left in the quarter. Tennessee's defense has not looked great since the opening drive interception. Here's King Henry with blocks down the left sideline. A huge run for Derrick Henry, his first carry of the entire game, as he gets 21 yards. Derrick Henry continuing to play like one of the best backs in the league as it is now 3rd and 10. Here's Willis towards the sideline. It's caught by Beckham. Tripped up, but he gets it to the 23. Good throw by Malik Willis, who I think has looked pretty sharp here in this first quarter. He's had a few nice throws so far in this ballgame. Under 30 seconds to go, 2nd and 9. Handoff for Henry with more room to the left side. He stiff arms the defender and brings it into the red zone to the 10. Unfortunately, guard Nate Davis is hurt on the play. Shouldn't be a serious injury. He'll probably be back as that wraps up the first quarter, 14-7. A lot of offense, but both defenses have forced a turnover already in this quarter. To open up the second, it's a 3rd and 4. Willis looks to throw it, and he connects with Odell Beckham for the touchdown. I want to diagnose that play. I think Malik Willis did something really good pre-snap. He called an audible for Bo Melton to run an out route. So Bo Melton runs towards the sidelines, leaving less defenders focused towards the middle of the end zone, which is going to draw attention off of Odell Beckham, who's going to come down with the catch. Veteran play by the rookie quarterback. So Dallas has it, tie game, big run by Ezekiel Elliott, who brings it to the 48-yard line, wrapped up by Byard. So Dallas now has it past midfield. They would eventually march down the field all the way to the 8-yard line. 1st and goal for the Cowboys. Prescott looks to throw it, and he is going to be sacked on the play. Bud Dupree and company in the backfield. I think that was Epineza with him. It's a holding call on Dallas, so the Titans could have a 1st and goal at the 18 or a 2nd and goal at the 15. They decline it, making it a 2nd and goal at the 15. I think that's the right call. So here's the following play after the penalty. Dak is sacked again. Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry are each in the backfield for half a sack. That'll make it a 3rd and goal. Now from the 21-yard line here for Dallas. Prescott sacked on the previous 2 plays. Prescott off his back foot connects with Simi Fehoko, who gets a solid gain but is short of the end zone, so it doesn't really matter. Dallas brings out the field goal team looking to take the lead here with 4 minutes left in the first half. Kick is up and good as the kicker makes the chip shot from 20. So the Cowboys now lead 17-14 as the Titans get it back. A lot of offense in this game. Here's Kyle Phillips swerving by defenders past the 50. Certainly refreshing after last week's game against the Texans, where it was really all about defense. 3rd and 2. Willis looks for Beckham, and it's dropped. That was a good throw right in his hands. I don't know how he didn't hold on. 4th and 2. Tennessee elects to go for it, and they get it, plus plenty more. A gain of 17 yards for Hassan Haskins, who gets it to the 10-yard line. Maybe not the guy you expect to make that play. 3rd and goal, back to Haskins. He walks to the red carpet, into the end zone for a touchdown. Don't worry, nothing's wrong with Derrick Henry. The Titans just wanted to get Haskins some snaps, And, well, he looked pretty good in doing so. The big fourth down conversion and then the touchdown walking by Hollywood. And so that'll wrap up the first half. A lot of points so far. The Titans lead this one 21-17. It's been a very exciting game of football as we hop into the halftime report. Unfortunately, no halftime highlights this week since it is Thursday Night Football. There's really nothing to show. Some games to highlight include the Jags and Texans. Very important for both teams. Jags looking to clinch the division. Texans are looking for the number one pick. They're a game behind Detroit. Vikings and Packers. Green Bay looking to get that number one seed in the NFC. And then on Sunday Night Football, Rams and Chargers at SoFi. I wonder which team is going to have more fans because neither of those teams really have fan bases to begin with. All right, let's go to the second half. I apologize if I offended you if you're a Ram or a Charger fan. So I really want to focus on throwing the ball on both sides of the field. It's a close game. Both offenses are playing well, and as long as it stays close, I think both teams are really going to lean on the pass. So if we can get Malik Willis going while also simultaneously stopping Dak Prescott, I think that could be really, really good in helping us win the game. Titans open up with the ball. 3rd and 6. It's caught by Beckham. Willis was under a ton of pressure there. I don't know how he made that play work, but he did. Great throw under pressure by Malik Willis to get the first down. From the 47, here's Henry with blocks, breaks a tackle, stiff arms the defender, and is shoved down to the turf by Micah Parsons, but not before bringing it to the 25. Henry's only got 9 carries today, but he's averaging over 10 yards a pop. First down from the 25. Willis looks to throw it under pressure. He is sacked. So we've got 3 guys in the backfield, Hamilton, Parsons, and Lawrence, all 3 of whom have been credited with half a sack. DeMarcus Lawrence now at 22.5 sacks, which ties the official record for most sacks in a season. 3rd and 14, Phillips wide open, and he is into the flats for a touchdown. Nobody covered Kyle Phillips at all. I don't know why. And so the Titans now lead by 2 possessions. Perfect read by Malik Willis. He recognized that area of the field was wide open. Good route there by Phillips to make the play. Tennessee's offense is continuing to play great. Malik Willis with 3 touchdowns today, as it is a 28-17 lead for the Titans. Dallas gets it back, 1st and 10. Prescott goes short for Zeke, breaks a tackle, and then is upended at the 37-yard line, but he does get the first down. Dallas moving the chains. I've got to say, Dak has played really well since the interception early in the game. 3rd and 9, Fehoko gets by multiple defenders. He is in for a score. Simi Fehoko has had one hell of a day for Dallas. His 2nd touchdown of the night. Talk about stepping up with no Michael Gallup in the lineup. So the Cowboys are going to go for 2, look to make it a clean 3-point game, and they get the conversion as Prescott connects with CeeDee Lamb, who tells the corner to CeeDee's nuts. 28-25, Titans still on top. We'll see if Tennessee's offense can keep it moving. They've continued to play outstanding football today. 2nd and 8, handoff for Henry. Breaks away from multiple defenders, and there he goes. The Cowboys cannot stop him. They can only hope to contain him as he gets it all the way to the 26. Have yourself a day, King Henry. Put on the crown and let him run loose. 2nd and 10. Willis looks to throw, and he goes short for Robert Woods. Woods with a nice play, swerving through defenders to the 12. Woods had a bad drop on the previous play, so it's good to see him making up for his mistake. 3rd and 8, screen for Derrick Henry. The Titans are just hoping that he makes a miraculous play, which he does not. Good stop in the red zone by Anthony Barr, and that'll force the field goal team to come out. Here's fat Randy Bullock, who has not missed a kick all season long. He remains perfect as he makes the field goal, and it's now 31-25. That's got to be a scoregami. Has there ever been a game that's been 31-25? So Dallas has it back. 30 seconds left in the 3rd. On 1st down, Prescott with a strike for CeeDee Lamb, who brings it to the 45, wrapped up by Kevin Byard. And so that'll wrap up the 3rd. We've got ourselves a good one here in Nashville. 31-25. The Titans hold a slight lead over the Cowboys. 1st and 10 from the 45 to start the 4th. Prescott is sacked again. Zach Cunningham in the backfield to make the play for a loss of 8. The Titans pass rush hasn't been as good as they were last week, but they've still been pretty solid. 3rd and long. Dak looks to throw it under pressure, heaves it deep, and it is caught by Lamb. He'd throw it in between about 4 Tennessee defenders, but CeeDee Lamb comes down with it, makes a play. From the 30-yard line, under 8 minutes to go. Short throw by Prescott, and it's caught by Jalen Tolbert, the rookie out of South Alabama. He brings it to the 12-yard line. A nice gain of 18 for Tolbert. That'll move the chains as Dak is under center here from the 12. The Cowboys looking to take their first lead of the second half. But Prescott is sacked. Harold Landry and Jeffrey Simmons in the backfield. Landry really deserves all the credit, but they're going to give Simmons half a sack for tapping him on the shoulder, I guess. 3rd down and 12. Now at the 14. Under 6.5 to go. Dak drops back in the pocket. Looks for the end zone. It's broken up. What a great play by David Long, ripping that one away from Dalton Schultz. And that one will prevent the Cowboys from taking the lead. They will be able to bring out the field goal team, looking to cut the lead in half. Field goal try is up. It is good. So it's now 28-31. The Titans are going to get it back with the lead. We'll see if Tennessee can look to finish off this game. Still plenty of time left on the clock, around 6 minutes to go. Willis looks to throw it, and he finds a rushing lane. Willis with a big play on the ground as he gets about 13. Willis has not been as busy as he has been in the ground game the past couple of weeks. He's really focused more on playing well as a passer as he gets it over to Robert Woods for a gain of 18 yards. That'll move the chains. With 5 minutes to go, Tennessee's having another very nice drive. 1st and 10, Willis looks to throw it. Rolls out to the right. He's going to look to go deep downfield for Woods, and it is intercepted. Trayvon Diggs picks it off. Diggs looking to return it as he gets it to around the 15-yard line. Okay, lot to dissect there. First off, nice play by Diggs, but I don't think Malik Willis deserves most of the blame. Yeah, it was a risky throw, but look at Robert Woods. He just stops. I mean, you got to give more effort. That's a veteran out there who is making a rookie mistake. I don't know what Robert Woods is thinking. He had Diggs beat, but he stopped going. So because of that, I don't think you can blame that on Willis. I think that's all on Robert Woods. The Cowboys looking to take advantage of their turnover, and they do. A big gain by Ezekiel Elliott to the 47. Zeke is now over the century mark in yardage. Both him and Derrick Henry have been very good. Both a couple of 2016 draftees, two of the oldest starting running backs in the NFL. Another good run by Zeke. He gets it to the 27-yard line, and the Cowboys are moving it quite well as that brings us to the 2-minute warning. This is anybody's ball game. Titans lead 31-28, but Dallas is nearing the red zone at the 27-yard line with a 1st and 10. Dak looks to throw it, and it is bonked off the head of Zach Cunningham. Could have been intercepted. We do have a flag, and this one's going to be against the Titans. Roughing the passer against Jeffrey Simmons. Got to avoid the after-the-play flags, which gives Dallas free yardage. It gives them a 1st down, half the distance to the goal line. Very next play, here's Dalton Schultz, has it to the 10. Caleb Farley is hurt. That's not good for a number of reasons. One, it's Caleb Farley. He's a good player. But two, that stops the clock, and it forces the Titans to use a timeout. Farley's injury should not be serious, but what is serious is that Dallas is marching on the doorstep as Zeke has it to the 1. There's Farley. He strained his pec. He may be able to return to the game. Who knows if Dallas is even going to get the ball back, though. As Dak on the read option gets the touchdown run, and the Dallas Cowboys take the lead 35-31. So he returns the Titans at the 25-yard line with 103 seconds and 1 timeout. Field goal does nothing. They need a touchdown. Can Malik Willis lead the biggest drive of his career and put the Titans back on the win column for win number 10 on the season? 1st down. Willis misfires for Beckham. Got to make that throw. OBJ was wide open. 3rd and 10. Willis looking to run with it, and he will scramble for the 1st down to the 37-yard line. Got to move quick. Titans running no huddle. Willis under pressure, trying to get rid of it, but he is sacked by Chauncey Golston, who has replaced DeMarcus Lawrence, who actually got banged up back in the 3rd quarter. 3rd and 17. Pass is caught by Henry, trying to fight his way out of bounds, but he cannot. So the Titans call their 3rd and final timeout. They want some time to figure out this 4th down play, as it's a 4th and 5 at the 32 with 37 seconds to go. Willis looks to throw it under pressure. He is sacked. Micah Parsons in the backfield. That is the dagger. The Cowboys escape with a win, 35-31. That's an unfortunate loss, a game that we could have won, but a few plays there late at the end of the game. The interception by Diggs particularly, again, I don't think that was Willis's fault, really. I thought that was just a horrible play by Robert Woods. As we look at the stats, I think Dak was really good after his first pass was an interception. He was close to flawless after that. As for Willis, 18 for 34, 212, 3 touchdowns and a pick. I think his stats are not as good as how he actually played. I think he performed better than the numbers show. As I said, I don't think the interception is his fault. And he had like 4 or 5 really good throws that were just blatantly dropped by the receivers. Zeke and Henry both played well. We should have given Henry the ball more than 12 times. That's not good. He'll get the ball more next week, assuming we still have the shot in the playoffs. As the receiving, Dallas's receivers were good. Ours were not, minus OBJ and I guess Kyle Phillips. Robert Woods had a few bad drops. The tight ends were close to non-existent, minus the early touchdown by OJ. Beckham had a couple drops. We really missed Traylon Burks out there. I mean, our receivers were just not good today. The pass rush was pretty mediocre for us, although Jeffrey Simmons had a sack. I don't know why it's not registering in the stat sheet. Dallas's pass rush was good in the second half, and then the interceptions by Diggs and Byard. That brings us to week 18. So I've got some good news, I've got some bad news, and I got some more bad news. So as you can see here, the Jaguars and the Colts won. So they're both 2 games ahead of us, meaning our chances for the division are now toast. Here are the players of the week: Carson Wentz, Najee Harris, Troy Hill, and Byron Jones. But as I was saying, the good news is that we still have a shot to make the playoffs. It's a very small shot, but it's still a shot. But the bad news, as I said, we cannot win the division, and our chance of making the playoffs is really, really slim. I mean, we need a lot of things to happen. So we're currently 9-7. As I said, we can't win the division. That's out the picture. Best case scenario for us is the 7th seed. What we need to happen: we need New England to lose. We need the Browns to lose. We need the Chiefs to lose because they had the head-to-head tiebreaker over us. And then we need to win. We beat the Bengals, so it doesn't matter what they do. But that's still a lot of things that need to happen. So we have to beat Jacksonville, who's playing for the division. So Jacksonville still has a lot to play for. We need the Chiefs to lose. They're playing a pretty bad Raiders team. We need the Browns to lose. They're playing a pretty bad Steelers team. And we need the Patriots to lose. They're playing the Bills, who are fighting for the AFC East with New England. So New England's game is hard, but the Chiefs and the Browns, not so much. As for the Tank Bowl, the Lions have lost 15 in a row. They'll probably get 1. The Texans are looking at 2. And then here are all the other teams towards the bottom. As of now, we are projected to have pick 18, but that'll change if we make the playoffs or not. So that's going to wrap up the episode. Hope everybody enjoyed. Certainly not the result of the game we wanted. Again, it really felt like we could have won and put ourselves in a better position to get that final wild card spot. Let me know what you thought of the prospect profiles on the defensive backs down below in the comments section. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out. Tighten up.